Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Brandon Krasowski.
And I'm Addison Deal.
In this week's episode, find out what mental health initiative for the new Center for Media Innovation needs your help.
And we'll show you how you can nominate your favorite professor for the Distinguished Teaching Award.
And let's not forget, our reporters Carlo Andriassi and Samuel Parator are here to tell you all about this week's political and sports news.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts right now. Welcome back. Here's your campus news, starting with your weekly weather update with Alexa Shawless.
Thanks, Addison and Brandon. After a week of getting used to sunny skies and warm weather, it's time for Pittsburgh to do what it does best and shake things up for us. This week, expect to take out your raincoats and put away your sunglasses. Aside from Monday, each day in the coming week has a 30% or higher chance of rainfall. On the flip side, there is still a trend in those increasingly warm temperatures. Expect a high of a warm 66 degrees this coming Wednesday, with the remainder of the week following suit in the mid-50s. With that being said, the start of the week will be a bit shakier. On Monday and Tuesday, you can expect temperatures that may fall as low as 21 degrees. So make sure you keep out those winter coats out just a little bit longer. Overall, it seems like spring has certainly sprung, and we're heading towards warmer weather sooner rather than later.
I hope the warm weather that we've been having makes all the flowers and trees and everything bloom. I love seeing all the flowers during spring.
Yeah, I really do miss just seeing green everywhere and not looking like everything around us is just dead.
Oh yeah, that wonderful Pennsylvania, wonderful foliage. As soon as it becomes green, Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania as a whole looks like a beauty.
You know, it's surprising though, even though we'll go from being 21 all the way up to 66, it still looks beautiful whenever it happens. And I just can't wait till it's warm out again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for that update, Alexa.
Now let's dive into the news that matters most, starting with this week's campus news.
Point Park University is looking for its next recipient of the university's Distinguished Teaching Award. The award is for any full-time faculty member that has gone above and beyond in their commitment to education. For a faculty member to be nominated, they must serve at least 6 years of full-time service to the university. A nomination for Google Forms has been sent out to all students' emails last week. The deadline to submit the form is on Monday, March 28th. It's a short form, so please take a little bit of time to recognize one of your favorite faculty members. We will keep you posted on the results of the nomination.
The Center for Media Innovation is asking students to send in creative works concerning mental health for All Abilities Media's Youth Symposium. Selected students will receive cash awards for their work, with solo work receiving $150 and group projects of 2 or more receiving $300. The work can be based on experiences that are individually lived, familial, or academic, connected with service, and researched. Interested students can contact Jennifer at Unabridged Press with questions, and work must be submitted by March 28th.
The Student Government Association held a town hall meeting on Sunday, March 20th to discuss changes to the Office of Equality and Inclusion. The meeting was held at 6 p.m. The SAG requested that all clubs have at least one person attend to voice their opinions on the issue. According to the Globe, the SGA announced that the OEI would not exist by next academic school year. All students were encouraged to attend the meeting to voice their concerns of the future of the OEI.
That teacher award must be nice for the teachers to realize how much their work has impacted their students.
Yeah, I'm just curious who's actually had the award before, because I know teachers like Helen Fallon would definitely deserve it.
I definitely agree. I had her last semester. She was very nice.
She's very nice. She's a lot of work, but she's not one of those teachers that just assigns things just for the fun of it. It's stuff that actually does help you, and in the end, you actually do end up being a better writer.
And I'm sure she's one of many teachers here that deserve to be recognized for their efforts.
Oh yeah, I mean, she's just the one that comes to mind most because I just had her a little bit ago, but there's plenty of teachers out there that deserve it, so make sure you fill out that form.
Coming up after the break, find out what detour might impact your travel around the city.
And hear all about the future of Pittsburgh's energy hydropower.
And don't forget, our reporters Carlo Andreassi and Samuel Parator are ready to give you this week's political and sports news.
Don't go anywhere, Daybreak. We'll be right back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome back to Newsnight. Most of the student body of the Pittsburgh Public School.
Some of the United States allies.
Thursday, the FBI was seen raiding.
Let's get started with today's forecast.
Today's high will only reach about 31 degrees.
It's looking a little cooler than we've seen in the past few weeks.
All this and more,
All this and more
All this and more coming up on Newsnight.
coming up on Newsnight.
coming up on Newsnight.
Welcome back to Daybreak.
Without further ado, here is your city news.
In a city known for its three rivers, hydropower has been a topic discussed for a long time. Rye Development, a hydropower company based in Boston, is putting together a plan to introduce enough hydropower into Pittsburgh's dams and locks to create a much larger scale of hydropower in the Pittsburgh area. With funding from Biden's infrastructure bill, Rye Development will be adding turbines to the dams that generate electricity. This plan had been in the works for a while, despite some pushback from industry and conservation groups. The groups had claimed dams and turbines can affect fish migration as well as water temperature and other possible problems. With this in mind, Rye Development has adapted their technology to keep the river's quality good and not to affect fish migration or population. The revamp is projected to be able to provide power to 75,000 homes over the course of the next few years.
If you travel downtown, be prepared for a detour. On Tuesday, March 22nd, the 6th Avenue and Wood Street intersection closure began for all traffic. The intersection will be closed for approximately 4 weeks, making downtown traffic a little more congested. Traffic will not be able to access 6th Avenue from Liberty Avenue to Smithfield Street and Oliver Avenue to Liberty Avenue. According to WPXI, 21 bus routes will be detoured around the closed intersection. Access to the Wood Street T station will still be possible as no pedestrian traffic will be impacted. After construction is completed, the public can look forward to fresh crosswalks and a smoother intersection. The intersection closure is part of the city of Pittsburgh's Department of Mobility and Infrastructure Department's plan to replace and rehabilitate intersections within the city. In November 2021, the intersection of 7th Street and Penn Avenue was replaced, creating smoother roads. Other infrastructure plans include repairing bridges such as the Roberto Clemente Bridge.
The Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra is holding a concert to support Ukrainian citizens. The event has been named a Concert for Peace and will be led by music director Manfred Honeck. This performance will feature Marta Krechkovsky on violin, Leif Ove Andesnes on piano, the Pittsburgh Youth Chorus, Duquesne University Voices of Spirit, and resident artists from the Pittsburgh Opera. The program features many different songs from Ukrainian composers and songs that promote peace. The event will take place in Heinz Hall on April 2nd at 7:30 p.m. The event will also be broadcasted on WQED-FM for those who cannot attend in person. The event is free to attend, however, the performers ask attenders to donate to humanitarian efforts supporting Ukrainian citizens. Malia Taranjo, president and CEO of the Symphony Orchestra, says, quote, "We offer this concert of peace as an expression of solidarity with the people of Ukraine, and we support the universal values of freedom and human rights that are under violent attack in Ukraine," end quote.
You know, I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of hydropower before.
You haven't? Not at all? Well, it's obviously better for somewhat better for the environment as opposed to oil, since oil is like obviously non-renewable, and water, we need it to survive, so it's pretty much always going to be there. So it would be really good to power all of the buildings and technological places around the area.
Yeah, it's good that they're making those kind of advancements, because one day, like you said, oil is just gonna, it's just one day gonna be gone. And
especially since they're making sure to be conscious about like the fish migration patterns and the temperature of the rivers to make sure they're not messing with the wildlife or anything. It's a really good investment.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm hoping that they can keep that going, and with the infrastructure bill, that'll definitely be possible.
Coming up after the break, we have this week's Ray of Sunshine.
We'll PolitiSmack your political news with reporter Carlo Andriassi.
And we'll hear this week's Slice from the Ice with reporter Samuel Parator.
Stay tuned, Daybreak. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Daybreak, everyone. My name is Samuel Parator, and I am back to give you this week's Slice from the Ice. The Pittsburgh Penguins had themselves quite the week, only suffering one loss, most recently 4-3 in a shootout against the Buffalo Sabres. The other three games this past week ended in victories: 3-2 against the Blues in a shootout, 4-1 against the Coyotes, and 5-1 against the Blue Jackets. As we look at the Metropolitan Division standings again, very little has changed. And as a note, the following numbers are as of March 24th. Carolina still holds that top spot at 90 points now, and Pittsburgh has solely taken that second position with 88 points. Rounding out the top three are the New York Rangers, sitting at 85 points. Washington still sits about 5 points behind the top three, but still holds on to that second wild card spot by a comfortable 13 points. Let's hope Pittsburgh can keep stringing those wins together and maybe soon take back that top spot in the division. Another important thing to note is that the trade deadline has come and gone as of last Monday, and the Penguins made two moves before the mark. The first of the moves was acquiring defenseman Nathan Beaulieu of the Winnipeg Jets, in exchange for a conditional 7th-round draft pick. This is a very low-key move by Hextall, low price to pay if things don't work out, and a high reward as he is a solid veteran defensive piece to have. The other move, and the bigger one at that, was the acquisition of Rickard Rakell of the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for forwards Zach Aston-Reese, Dominic Sinon, goalie Callie Klang, and a 2nd-round draft pick. A little bit of a bigger price on that one, but a really good pickup. With being only 28 and having scored about 340 points during his career with Anaheim, Rakell really solidifies our lineup and a little bit more heading into the playoffs soon enough. Lastly, let's take a look at the upcoming games for you to look out for. The night of this taping, the 25th, we travel to New York to take on the Rangers. On Sunday, the 27th, they return home to take on the Detroit Red Wings and will stay home for another match against the Rangers on the 29th. Match will conclude with a game against the Minnesota Wild on the 31st. Hopefully the Pens can finish the month of March strong and keep that playoff push moving forward. That is all for me, and as always, let's go Pens. Now let's send it over to Carlo Andreassi for this week's PolitiSmack.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Carlo Andreassi, and this is PolitiSmack. Over the last 4 days has been the hearing for President Biden's Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, set to replace Justice Stephen Breyer as he recently announced his retirement early this year. Over the course of this hearing on the floor of Congress, the major key takeaway that the country has received is that the GOP largely doesn't approve of Jackson's nomination for various reasons. Now for a brief rundown of the discussion that has been taking place. Democrats and a few Republicans reiterated what makes Jackson qualified, pointing to her Harvard Law degree, serving on the Harvard Law Review, and her 3 positions on the judicial branch by which she was confirmed with bipartisan support in the Senate. Senator Cory Booker noted her historic nomination, highlighting her potential to be the first black woman to serve as a Supreme Court justice. The GOP raised concerns on her nomination, focusing specifically on the issue of law and order, saying that she has a record of being too lenient on violent criminals. Thomas Griffith, a Republican-appointed judge who recently retired, introduced Jackson by highlighting what he believes is her integrity, superseding their disagreements. He said, quote, "Some think it noteworthy that a former judge appointed by a Republican president would enthusiastically endorse a nomination to the Supreme Court by a Democrat president. That reaction is a measure of the dangerous hyperpartisanship that has seeped into every nook and cranny of our nation's life." Senator Tom Cotton reiterated the GOP's stance on Justice Jackson, linking increased rates of violent crime to having a more liberal justice system, saying, quote, "It's no coincidence that this came as localities and states pushed to defund the police and reduce punishment for criminals." Senator Ted Cruz has received a lot of coverage for being one of the most vocal members in terms of opposing Jackson's nomination. He claims that Jackson has ties with, quote, critical race theory. His line of argument was that Jackson was a board member at the private Georgetown Day School, which he claims has a curriculum which goes a step too far in teaching children about racism in United States history. Jackson indicated that Cruz's argument is baseless, responding, quote, "I have not reviewed any of those books, any of those ideas. They don't come up in my work as a judge, which I am respectfully here to address." With broad support from the Democratic Party and seldom support in the Republican Party, it seems that Justice Jackson's nomination will follow suit. However, the Supreme Court is still facing a partisan divide. Much like the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett, who saw little support from Democrats, there seems to be no consensus on one side of the political aisle yet again, further cementing the Supreme Court as another game of political tug-of-war. So, Addie, Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I think that having the first black woman in the Supreme Court is a great feat that really is great for our country. And if she's qualified and she's been nominated, I don't see a problem. I think that it would be good, especially, as you said, the controversy around Amy Coney Barrett about the partisan issue. I don't think if she was able to do it, I don't know why a partisan issue would be something that stops her from being able to do that.
Yeah, it's always a little weird to me that it always falls along political lines. But, I mean, you're the Supreme Court, so why is it falling within political lines? It's just really just a race for power, in a sense.
Right, and one distinction I see here is that Amy Coney Barrett was replacing a liberal judge under a Republican president, and Justice Jackson will be replacing another liberal judge. So we're swapping another liberal for another liberal. So the partisan issue, it seems to me like it's a bit less of a factor here. But
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I feel like the Supreme Court shouldn't be about politics, really. It should be about fairness and everything along those lines there. So hopefully one day maybe we can drop the political alignment with the Supreme Court.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
In case this is your first time joining us or you need a refresher, Ray of Sunshine is our way of starting your day with a smile and an inspirational quote.
The semester has really started revving up and classes have been tough. So this week's quote is about the importance of persevering through difficult times.
The quote reads, "The struggle you're in today is developing the strength you need for tomorrow."
I think that's a really nice reminder that even though work is getting hard, the workload's getting heavier, finals are coming up, that there's still, light at the end of the tunnel.
I really do need light at the end of the tunnel at this point. I mean, everything has just been at once, on fire, train wreck, and I'm just here delivering the news.
Right, in those times where you're struggling maybe academically or mentally, it's always good to keep in mind that it's only temporary and things are only going to get better. And once you deal with your situation that you're in, you'll be able to look back on it fondly.
Exactly, and as we reach to the end of the semester here with all the different things that pop up from finals and people doing clubs and those kind of get bigger, it's important to know that all the work you put in will be worth it. There'll be an end to it. And then it is building you to be stronger moving forward after that.
You know, all I think we need is a break, and after this summer break, we're all going to be refreshed and happy, and life is going to be great.
Let's hope.
That's going to be it for Daybreak. Thank you so much for watching.
You can catch clips from all our previous Daybreak episodes on our YouTube at YouView Television.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Daybreak PPU. I'm Brandon Kurzowski.
And I'm Addison Deal, hoping your news is good news. Have a great day, everyone.